The pink pill is the pink pill now. Put your pinkies up now, up now, up. Live well to the extreme now. Put your pinkies up now, up now, up.
Hey, it's Pinky. You're on the Pink Pill YouTube channel. Be a love and like, share, and subscribe. Pinkies up.
Hello Pinkies, it's story time, and today we are going to listen to a very, very sad story of a beautiful Japanese princess who risked it all and fumbled the bag in a major, major way. Talking about Princess Mako. Princess Mako is the oldest daughter of the Japanese king who is reigning right now. Please don't ask me how to pronounce his name because I'm very bad at that and I'd rather not pronounce it, and I will put it down in the text below. She fell in love with her college sweetheart. He was a commoner and she was royalty. They dated, fell in love, and got engaged. And at first, all the civilians of Japan were very, very happy and excited about the upcoming union. Even though her father and the royal family said, if you marry this man, you are going to have to leave the royal family. But she loved him so much that she was willing to do that. And you know what else she was willing to do? Give up nearly $1.2 million closeout to leave on her merry way and start her life with her new husband. She refused. That was a big mistake. Also a big mistake was for a woman to marry down. Now, before you jump down my throat, think about it. We love when royalty marries commoners, right? We love it. It's the Cinderella story, right? You have the handsome prince who will soon be king, marrying the common girl, swooping her up from wherever her circumstances are into this royal, fabulous life. However, it works that way on the man's side, but it doesn't seem to work so well for the women. And the reason why I believe it doesn't work so well for the women is because they understand the value of what the womb produces. They want to make sure that they can choose the proper man. Now, I'm not saying that's not sexist. It's just the way the traditions are. She bucked against the traditions, got engaged, didn't want to take the money, the bag that, the closing bag. And she thought, well, this man, he's so handsome, I love him, and he's going to be a lawyer.
And as soon as he passes the bar, and he makes millions of dollars, I'm going to be the Princess of New York.
Because that's what her plan was, to move there. Not so fast, sister. News has broken that her now husband failed the bar exam. The bar exam that everybody counted on that he would pass so that she could start living her new luxurious life in New York. So that didn't happen, and that was very embarrassing. But let's look at the guy for a moment. Let's look at the husband. So not only is the husband a commoner, which, most of us are, that's fine. And I told you earlier that at first, all the Japanese citizens in all the land were so excited about this new union despite the disapproval of the royals until they found out something. Apparently, his stepfather loaned him some money to go to college and never paid it back. That is a big no-no in that culture. It totally shifted support from Princess Mako with her husband, and all of a sudden everybody's starting to side-eye him. She was faced with so much criticism by the people in the Japanese community in which she associated with the royals and the society at large. She had to endure so much criticism, and you know what that handsome guy that got engaged to her that she met in college did? He went off to New York and let her deal with all of these issues all by herself. And he would not return to Japan until they married. But when he returned to Japan, he did something that was also offensive. He wore a pinstripe suit. Now, don't ask me why that's a big deal, but apparently in Japanese culture, that's seen as disrespectful. Also, his hair was long and in a ponytail. Also, disrespectful in that culture. So not only did he leave his wife to bear the brunt of all of the scandal by herself in Japan, stripped of her royalty, so he could be in New York and chill and get away from the scrutiny, she had to remain and fight for them by herself. How cool would it be if we had our very own social media network that had all the benefits of our favorite sites, just without all of the intrusion, lack of privacy, bullying, and taunting and trolling? What is unfortunate is that social media is becoming increasingly less safe for women like us. In order to preserve our peace, we have to go underground, and that's exactly what I did. The Pink Pill Underground is the first fully interactive social media platform created just for us. There is currently nothing out there like it. Not only do we do all of the social media that you're used to, we have live and virtual events, courses every month, new courses every month, groups for your interests, everything from survival to financial to book clubs. We even have once a year a gala and a yacht party. I've thought of everything. It is all encompassing and it is just for us. The Pink Pill Underground is by invitation and acceptance only. If you are interested in joining us on the Pink Pill Underground, you're gonna have to fill out the wait list, fill out the NDA, and go through our screening process. If we think you're a fit, then you can join us for an amazing community of like-minded women. But the first step is to get on the wait list, which is just in that link right below. And then when he comes back, he basically puts two middle fingers up in front of her family and society at large, because he did not dress the way he was supposed to, his hair was not supposed to. Basically, another big, I don't care, and there's nothing you can do about it. So why is this such a bad idea, despite all of the red flags, despite the fact that he didn't pay his debts, despite the fact that he left his fiancée to fend for herself when public scrutiny was at its highest, and when he returned to get married to her, he was not in line with what the cultural mores were. And then to top it all off, he fails the bar exam. Girl, you fumbled that bag 2, 3, 4, 10 times. And we do it often, ladies. Yes, she's a princess, and maybe being a princess is a pretty demanding life. But what she's living right now is pretty demanding too. I guess you have to pick your poison. But when you're talking about choosing well, we're talking about hypergamy. If you are at an elevated status above the person that you're with, it's always super risky. It's risky because you don't always know if that person has good intentions. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it also seems to not work as well for women to do so. For example, Black women statistically marry down. Yes, we have low marriage rates, but when we do, we marry men who have less education and less income. what happens? Eventually those marriages disintegrate because there's an imbalance of power. So my recommendation is for any woman who's listening to this, your safest bet is to practice hypergamy. Marry somebody at least at equal station or higher. Because if you don't, you run the risk, a risk that goes beyond you. It also passes down to your future children and your lifestyle, your level of stress, the success of your relationships. Sometimes we just cannot afford to marry down. And this poor little princess, she could not afford it. And she especially can't afford it because her husband failed the bar exam and she gave up the $1.2 million she would have gotten for leaving the royal family. Out of what? Some sort of principle? Ladies, take care of yourself because nobody is going to take care of you better than you. Think about it this way. Yes, it's sexist that men in the royal family can marry commoners. Of course, we all know that's to be true. Now take a second. We're already doing story time, so let's talk about Cinderella, right? Cinderella is such a great story, right? But Cinderella, before she met Prince Charming, she was literally a slave to her stepmother, to her stepsisters. She had to mend the clothes. She had to clean the floors. She had to scrub and every single thing. She was the maid 24/7 without any compensation. It was a terrible life. But imagine this. Imagine Cinderella when she's out, I don't know, picking flowers, talking to birds or mice, and she meets a poor man who lives on the street. He's handsome. He writes poetry. But he's even worse off than she is. What would you say to Cinderella? Girl, don't do it. Just don't do it. It always benefits to marry up than to marry below, no matter where up and below is. If you are Cinderella and you are scrubbing floors and working like a slave, do not marry the homeless person who's the poet. That just makes good common sense. I say all that to say that I wish the princess well. I hope that eventually her husband will pass the bar and redeem her, at least partially. But until then, I'm sorry. I feel like all of the red flags, the fact that he didn't protect you, and that it seems as if he's not going to be a great provider, maybe there's still time to get out of this. But from what I understand, her leaving the royal family means that she can never come back. And just like with you, sometimes you make decisions that you can never come back from. The end? We'll see. Until next time, pinkies up.